We continue Kuf Yud Aleph from Beis Meseches Shabbos. This is Shabbos Daf 111b. The Gemara here is questioning whether Rav really holds like the leniencies of Rabbi Shimon. And the Gemara says that Rav says, Asr lahaduke b'yom hatava. If a person has a rag, it's asr to wrap it tightly around the spout of a barrel on Yontiv. Why? Rashi explains, Asr lahaduke b'nekav mishum schita. The problem is, you may end up squeezing it out. Even though you're not having kavana to squeeze, that's not the purpose of this rag. You see here that Rav does not follow the leniency of Rabbi Shimon by davar shein miskavin. So the Gemara says, no, Rabbi Shimon moda. In that particular case, even Rabbi Shimon admits that it's a problem. So when Rav says it's a problem, it's not because he doesn't hold like Rabbi Shimon. He does agree with Rabbi Shimon. The Abaye v'Rava dami tarvaya moda Rabbi Shimon p'sikreisha v'lo yamus. Because Abaye and Rava both say that Rabbi Shimon admits when it's a psik reisha, when it's basically something that is for sure going to happen. The expression is psik reisha v'lo yamas, when you cut off its head and it's not going to die, it's for sure going to die. So by something that's a certainty, even Rabbi Shimon admits by davar shein miskavin it's a problem, and therefore you have no proof. So the Gemara says, V'amar Rav Chia bar Ashi amar Rav, but didn't Rav Chia bar Ashi say in the name of Rav, halacha Rabbi Yehuda? He said explicitly the halacha is like Rabbi Yehuda. So again, you see he does not hold like the lenient Rabbi Shimon. Rav Chanan Barami Amar Shmuel halacha Rabbi Shimon, and Rav Chanan Barami says in the name of Shmuel that the halacha is like Rabbi Shimon. Rav Chia Baravin Masni Below Gavri, and Rav Chia Baravin has it without being quoted from anyone else directly. Rav Amar halacha Rabbi Yehuda, that Rav says the halacha is like Rabbi Yehuda is not quoted by Rav Chia Barashi. With Shmuel Amar halacha Rabbi Shimon, and Shmuel holds halacha is like Rabbi Shimon, and again not quoted by Rav Chanan Barami. So in any case, though, the problem is here the implication is that Rav doesn't necessarily follow the leniencies of Rav Shimon, and before we said he does. So Elo Amar Rava, rather Rava says Ani va'arisha bechabura targimna. So myself and the lion of our group, we're going to answer it. Manu Rabbi Chia Baravin. Who's the lion of our group? It's Rabbi Chia Baravin. Halacha Rabbi Shimon v'lav mitayme. The answer is that the halacha is like Rabbi Shimon, but it is not for his reasoning. My halacha Rabbi Shimon v'lav mitayme. What does that mean? What does it mean the halacha is like Rabbi Shimon, but not for his reasoning? Ilaim halacha Rabbi Shimon deshari. If you're going to say that the halacha is like Rabbi Shimon, that he permits this rose oil even by people who are not princes, v'lav mitayme, but it's not for his reason. Deal Rabbi Shimon savar masi. Because maybe Rabbi Shimon holds that it's a cure, and therefore that's why Rabbi Shimon therefore has to have a reason why it's permitted. But Rav Savar lo masi, and Rav holds that it doesn't work anyway, so that's why it's okay. Rashi here explains, halacha Rabbi Shimon deshari b'shemen vered. The halacha is like Rabbi Shimon that permits it by the rose oil. Avalomi taime dein hatam kidvarav. In other words, Rav said that's the halacha, but not because of what Rabbi Shimon said. De'ilu Rabbi Shimon savar masi va'afilu hachishari. Rabbi Shimon holds this is a good cure, but it's permitted. Because Rabbi Shimon holds you can't say it's okay for the princes and not okay for everybody. But according to Rav, it doesn't heal anyway, so therefore it was never a problem in the first place. Gemara says 1 second. Rav lo masi. Does Rav really hold that it doesn't heal? That's not really true. Just from the fact that the Mishnah said that the princes can do it on their wounds, Mechlal Damasi, that itself implies that there is some kind of healing. Rashi says, Mechlal Damasi afilo Tanakama. According to Tanakama, the Tanakama is saying that the princes can do it, but not regular people. It's implied that it is a healing. The Lav Damasi Lamai Itzrichle. If it didn't heal a person, what are you even doing it for? So clearly, everybody in the Mishnah agrees that it heals. The question was whether regular people can do it or whether it's only B'nai Malachim. So the Gemara says, Ela halacha Rabbi Shimon deshari v'lav mitayme. Rather, what it means is the halacha is like Rabbi Shimon, but not for his reason. The Rabbi Shimon savar afa gav de lo shchiach shari. Rabbi Shimon holds even though it's not common, it's permitted. Rashi here says, Afa gav de lo shchiach shemen vered b'mekomo shel zeh hasoch mimenu v'dom of yikarim v'hakol yodem sheino sachol refuah. Rabbi Shimon said even if the shemen vered is not common in the place where the person is, it's very expensive, everyone knows it's being done for a refuah shari, it's still permitted according to Rabbi Shimon. Because everyone's considered b'nei malachim. Rabbi Yehuda said the mucha milsa. Rabbi Yehuda says no, there's no way it's permitted because it's clear you're doing it for a refuah. But Rav nami Rabbi Yehuda svirale. Now Rav really holds like Rabbi Yehuda that's a problem. Ela b'mekomo hu deshari, but in his locale it was okay. The shchiach, the sach, and shemen vered v'lo mucha milsa, because in his it was more available, it was common to use it. Therefore, it wasn't clear that you're doing it for refuah purposes. So dealer Rabbi Shimon Savar again, Afagav lo shchiach shari. Rabbi Shimon goes so far as to say that even though it's not common, it's permitted. But Rav holds ishchiach in v'i lo shchiach lo. It depends if it's common or not. It's only permitted if it's in an area where the shemen vered is common. Uva'asr derav shchiach mishcha devarda. And in the area where Rav lived, it was common to have rose oil, and that's why Rav permitted it. Hadron Aloch Shmona Shvatzim. We'll return to you Perek Shmona Shvatzim. That is the end of Perek Shmona Shvatzim. If you are enjoying this channel, please find ways to support this channel in the description box below. We're going to begin Perek Ve'elu Ksharim right now. The Mishnah begins Ve'elu Ksharim Shechayavin Alein. The following are knots which a person is chayav for tying these knots on Shabbos. Rashi says Ve'elu Ksharim Hamenuyin Ba'avos Malachas. We know that tying is one of the Avos Malachas. The Katani HaKosher V'Amater, tying and untying. Kesher Shel Kayama Sheina Matir Leolam. What's considered a knot? It has to be a permanent knot that you never untie. Dumya the Kosher Chute Yurios Hanefsakos, similar to those who tie up the strings of the curtains which break apart. Those are permanent knots. So the following knots are considered permanent knots that you're chayav for tying on Shabbos. Kesher Hagamolin v'Kesher Asafonin. It is the knots that are made by the camel drivers and the knots that are made by the sailors. The Mishnah says just like a person is chayav for tying these knots, he's also chayav for untying these knots. Rashi here says, sometimes they needed to untie the knots that were part of the nets that they were using for trapping in order to either make them smaller or a little larger. Rabbi Meir says, any knot which you can take one hand and untie it with, that is not considered to be a permanent knot, and you're not chayiv on such a knot. Gemara says, "My kesher hagamolin v'kesher asafan." And what are we referring to when we talk about the knots of camel drivers and the knots that are made by sailors? Ilema kitra de kachri bizmama v'kitra de kachri bisterida. If you're talking about the knot, let's say the camel had a ring that they pierced through its nose, and then they would attach a rope to that ring. So if you're talking about that rope that they tied there, or the rope that they attached to the front of the ship. So hai kesher sheino shel kayamu. Those are knots that are not permanent. Those are things that when they want to lead the camel, they tie a rope and they make a knot. Same thing with the boat, and then they untie it. So that shouldn't be chayiv. Ela kitra dezmama gufe udisterida gufa. Rather, what we're talking about here is the ring itself that's put on the camel, or the ring itself that's at the front of the ship. Those are permanent things. Those never come off. Rashi says here's a mama menakvin lenaka bechutma v'nosin ba tabas shel ritzua. They pierce the nose of the animal and they put in a strap which is like a ring. The kosher no sova medasham lilam. It's there forever. If they want to tie the animal up and tie it somewhere, they tie a strap to that ring. That sometimes they'll untie, and essentially the same thing when it comes to a ship. The Mishnah said, Rabbi Meir called kasher. Rabbi Meir said if you can use one hand to untie it, then it's not you're not chayiv on it. Boy Rav Achtavoy Achoy Demar Acha. Rav Achtavoy, so there's a different gear. So over here it might be a place where he's from, or it might be Achoy de Maracha, might be the brother of Maracha. So he asked the following question: Anivo l'Rabbi Meir mahu. What about if you tie a bow according to Rabbi Meir? Time of Rabbi Meir mishum diyachol latir bachas miyadav. The whole reason of Rabbi Meir is what? Is because you could untie it with one hand. Since you can untie it with one hand, therefore it's going to be permitted. V'hanami yachol latir. When it comes to a bow, also you can untie with one hand. Or maybe the real svar of Rabbi Meir is that if you can untie it with one hand, then it's clearly not tight. But when it comes to a bow, it is tight, even though you can untie it with one hand. Take what the Gemara leaves that as a question. We do not know what the halacha is by a bow according to Rabbi Meir. The Mishnah says, there are some knots that you're not chayav on, like the knots of camel drivers or the knots of sailors. There are other ones which you're not chayav on. And the Mishnah explains, Kosheris Isha Miftach Haluka, a woman is allowed to tie the straps of her cloak, V'chute Svacha, she can tie the threads of her hairnet, V'shel Piskio, let's say she has a belt that's fastened by straps, she can tie that, or Ritzuas Minol V'sandal, she has straps or laces on her shoes and sandals, V'nodos Yayin V'shemen, let's say you have drawstrings on wine or oil, let's say you have pouches of this wine and oil, or Kadera Shel Basar, or let's say you have a garment that you're tying around a pot of meat. All of those are examples of things which she is allowed to tie. Rabbi Lazar ben Yaakov says, kosher and lifnei habehema b'shvil shelo tetzei, a person's allowed to tie a rope in front of an animal in order to prevent it from leaving. The Gemara says, hagufa kasha, the Mishnah itself is internally contradictory. Amrit yesh ksharin shein chayav alein kesher hagamolin kesher asaponin. The Mishnah starts off saying you're not chayiv on the following knots. Chiyuvahu deleko isurika. That implies that you're not chayiv, but it's still forbidden. It's still usher, at least midrabanan. But then the next line is that a woman's allowed to do this even l'chatchila. It's not a problem at all. So the Gemara says, here's what it means. Yesh ksharin shein chayav alein kekesher hagamolin ukekesher hasaponin umaynihu. What are these that you're not chayav on? And the Gemara will continue to explain this. We'll see in the next video on Daf Yud Beis Amud Aleph.